This is an ADC warning. The crimes you're about to see are true. Only the names were changed to protect the ignorant. Tonight, on America's Dumbest Criminals, a man who was driving under the influence of Elvis, a high-speed chase in a camouflaged car, and a petty thief who meets the Caped Crusader. This and more on tonight's special edition of America's Dumbest Criminals. Good evening, and welcome to America's Dumbest Criminals. I'm Daniel Butler, your host. You know, folks, we've been around this country, from Seattle to Fort Lauderdale, and we've seen a lot of dumb crime. But tonight, we bring you a very special edition of America's Dumbest Criminals. The acts you're about to see are illegal in themselves, but the disguises, downright criminal. We were filming on location in Nashville, Tennessee, when we discovered a unique breed of dumb criminal, Sergeant Floyd Hyde.
When we had closed a lane of traffic down because we were filming a series for America's Dumbest Criminals, and we closed the road down with traffic cones, a sign that said lane closed on it. Behind that barrier, we had two wooden barriers, and then behind those two barriers, we had a police car with the blue lights on it. Of course, in front of the police car with a policeman. So we're standing there trying to make sure the traffic control was smooth and everything, and we look up, and here comes this man down the wrong side of the road. He had drove around all three barriers, and then he drove around the police car before we could get him stopped. And we asked him where he was going, and he said, well, I didn't realize that this lane was closed. I knew the other lane was closed.
You, pull over.
I think this is the talent for the next shot.
Sir.
Oh, wait a minute, we got two of these guys.
I'll handle it, sir. I'll handle it.
What's going on up there?
Of course, we knew at that time that he was intoxicated. So we made him park his car, told him he couldn't drive on the wrong side of the road simply because the right side was closed. And right there in the middle of the set, we did our field sobriety test, and of course he failed, and we arrested him for DUI. And then he asked us what we were filming, and when we told him it was America's Dumbest Criminals, he kind of chuckled and he said, well, I guess I'm a candidate now, ain't I? It's unbelievable how many people would come up. There was marked units out there, and they'd see them, but the people continued to speed through there. We made 30, 40, 50 speeding arrests, a couple revoked driver's license, and eventually a DUI arrest as a result of it. It was a very productive night for us, and I guess for ADC also.
Our first Elvis impersonator caught in a trap, but this was only the beginning. ADC quiz number 318. A house burglar in Pittsburgh was unable to resist when captured by the police. How was he caught? Did he A, break in while the owners were home, B, leave his fingerprints on the door, or C, lay down and fall asleep on the couch? The correct answer is C. A crowd of G-men surrounded him and immediately applied the couch potato cuff. Was our next dumb criminal the king of rock and roll or the godfather of soul? You be the judge.
And I was just driving one night, and I rolled up next to this guy in a Honda Civic 95 model. And I just happened to look over there, and I looked in the ignition, and there were no keys. So I said, okay, be cool. And so I got on the radio, ran the tag. She came back, dispatcher said, where do you have that car? And I told her. She says, that car is stolen, taken out carjacking. I said, okay. I hit my lights. This guy, I love it. And you can tell it's 5-speed. He couldn't drive a 5-speed. You could tell that much. Couldn't drive because the back end was going up and down, up and down. And another thing, I was able to tell dispatcher which way he was going because whenever he turned, he'd signal. He said, okay, he's going to turn right. He's going to turn right. Okay. So we go down this dead-end street, and he jumps out the car. So he ran toward these bushes. I lost sight of him, but what he had done, he had hidden underneath those. Well, I didn't know he was there. So I'm running through the bushes, and I stepped on him. And there he was. I think he was eating up with ants. Anything that was there in those bushes, they had him for dinner, more or less.
On the ground!
Oh, God. I had to go back. Oh, so baby, I got her. Whoa, whoa.
The king had found a new place to dwell. It was down at the end of Lonely Street in an anthill motel. It's obviously a crime to impersonate the king of rock and roll, but it's also a crime to impersonate the king of dink and dent. This is actual surveillance camera footage from a body shop that employed the moneymaker. Hey, watch this. To increase a car's damage and his profit, the Dr. Nick of Crash and Crunch wrapped a sledgehammer in duct tape and then mauled the Mazda. 1 for you, 500 for me. 2 Fries was dumb enough to do his damage right in front of his own surveillance camera, which was used to convict him. Hey, I totaled it. I made it to the bonus round. In Florida, it used to be against the law for a wife to collect her husband's paycheck, but she could impersonate a giant cassava melon and collect a loving cup of gravy. Ladies and gentlemen, we are proud to present the first twin Elvi sighting.
Well, we had armed robbery downtown, and there's 2 individuals involved. So one individual got away. He got out the back of the bank before we arrived. The second individual was caught by our officers coming out the front of the bank. The first individual came out of the crowd, and the suspect had gotten away. We asked him, why he came back, because he was in the clear. Well, they was from another town. And he said, my buddy had the car keys. And he said, I had to come back and get the car keys because I didn't have a ride home.
These twins got all shook down. Coming up, an Elvis impersonator who really bombs at the bank. If you are a law enforcement officer, active or retired, please contact us at America's Dumbest Criminals. Post Office Box 1628, Franklin, Tennessee, 37065. Or you can reach us on the internet. We do compensate officers for their stories. Up next, a petty thief accidentally runs into the king of rock and roll justice.
Many years ago, there was a burglar working at a truck stop area where 18-wheeler semi-trucks were coming in day and night, 24 hours a day. And he was breaking into these 18-wheeler trucks with some regularity. And the merchandise was being sold the following day on streets a few blocks away just to passersby on the street. Well, one night, this burglar got greedy, I guess, and he broke into an 18-wheeler truck at this truck stop area and decided that he wanted to sell the merchandise and get the money right then. Well, the only 2 businesses in the area was the truck stop and a bar. So the burglar took a specific number of audio cassettes in a certain case into the bar and proceeded to attempt to sell the audio cassettes. The man that he handed the audio tapes to try to sell, they belonged to him.
I got it down. I got it down.
So, needless to say, we responded to a big disturbance call at the bar, and by the time we got there, there were several burly truckers outside holding the man at bay.
This dumb criminal was a hunka all beat up. In Ohio, it used to be against the law to sit on top of a taxi. However, it was legal to roller skate on the world's tallest turntable. Warning, the following scene contains graphic footage of a serious eating disorder.
And this officer, he'd come up and was hungry that night, was on his way home, so he decided to stop at the restaurant to get one of their famous strawberry pies. And so he got this call. He said, well, I'll catch this call before I go home. He pulled in behind this business and left the pie and everything in the back seat of the car. So he goes in to process the crime scene. And he's in there with his walkie-talkie, and he's dusting for prints and whatnot. And all of a sudden, they hear this frantic call over the air, help, 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 And the dispatcher comes on and said, unit calling for help, identifying. The guy says, I don't know my car. I don't know where I am. I need help. And she says, well, look at your car door. She thought it was 412. And she says, all cars, officer needs help, unit 412, and she dispatches the location. Well, the officer inside says, wait a minute, I'm 412. What? So he dashes outside, and he looks, and he finds this man sitting in the back seat of his car just covered in blood. And he says, give me the paramedics. I got a man hurt. All of a sudden, he looks at this guy, and he looks in the back seat, and the guy's drunk. He crawled in his back seat to get warm, and he's eating a strawberry pie. And what he saw and thought was blood was strawberry pie just all over this guy.
Get out of there. Come on. What is the...
You messed up my car. You ate my pie. Come on now, what's going on?
It was cold. I climbed inside to get warm.
Yeah, it looks like...
buzz on, I got munchies.
This dumb criminal is definitely going to face lab. You know, Elvis liked fast cars, but he also liked great landscaping. This sketch contains one of those. This is an outlaw landscaping company car receiving a high-speed police escort on the way to a corporate client. First of all, the landscapers will remove a pesky tree to make room for new growth. Now, as they remove the tree from the grounds for proper disposal, they'll fog for insects. Now, once they've properly disposed of the tree, they'll quickly sweep the streets. Then they'll cut the grass. After a frantic mulching, they're ready to plant their bulbs in jail. Ladies and gentlemen, the first known father and son Elvis sighting. Bizarre, but true. Here, Elvis Sr. and Elvis Jr. enter a liquor store. Dad immediately instructs Jr. to disable the video cameras.
Junior, get that video. Get that camera.
The problem with most surveillance camera footage is that you never get a really good close-up of the face, so it's difficult to make an ID. But Elvis Jr. obliged by putting his face right in front of the camera before he clipped it off. Hey, it's still better than having a daughter who marries Michael Jackson. Coming up, here's something you don't see every day. An Elvis impersonator with a missing Philco on America's dumbest criminals. Next up, John Rhodes tells us about a man who impersonates a bank robber.
It was a bomb threat. A man had called a bank on one end of the county and said, "There's a bomb on your building. I'm going to come through the drive-thru. You give me however much money he wanted, or else I'm going to blow up your bank." So Sheriff's Department all started moving towards that bank. They had investigators working. That was just the diversion, and he called the other end of the county and said the same thing, thinking everybody was going to be down here at this bank. Well, the bad guy had called inside the bank and said, "There's a bomb on your building. I'm coming through the drive-thru. I'll show you a green flag. Give me X number of dollars." As soon as they hung up the phone, they walked out of the bank, locked the door, and went next door and called the Sheriff's Department. Nobody was in the bank. He came through the drive-thru. Nobody was there. He sat there for a few minutes in his car there at a business next door watching him. He's waving a green flag. Nobody's at the bank. And when the deputy drives up, he's standing there banging on the window.
"I need more money now. Seaman, where are you at now? I need more money now. Come on."
Of course, the real king never bombed. This is actual surveillance cam footage of Flora, Dora, and Debbie, the fairy godmothers of crime. Watch closely as Flora, Dora, and Debbie crowd the customer in black on the left. Dora diverts the customer's attention by reaching him. Once the grab is made, Dora sprints around left in just in time to make the handoff to Debbie. Now let's see that in slow-mo replay to spot the foul. The teams are lined up. Dora calls the signals, 248, 248, hut, hut, there's the snag. Dora blocks while Flora dashes for the corner. She's got some open running room. Debbie's pulling in just in time to receive the handoff there. She's got the ball now. She's got possession, tight roping down the sideline. Debbie high steps to pay dirt and a jail cell. And now for a dumb criminal who got all stuck up.
One night they get a call on a burglar in progress, a man trying to go through the second-story window. And they go up and they pull up and they're shining their lights around. And sure enough, he had 1 foot in the tree and 1 foot behind a drain pipe.
Whoa.
And they said,
"He's all right, Jeff. Johnny, what are you doing up there, man? Just hang on, man. Don't fall. Are you stuck, man? You can't get down from there?
My feet are shaking. The branch is breaking. My foot's stuck. And I don't know how I got up.
Well, why don't you come on down? We'll do a couple of choruses of Jailhouse Rock, huh? Hang on. Jeff, we need fire and rescue on this one, I believe. Okay. Just sit tight. We'll get you down.
And he had
This Elvis impersonator just couldn't help falling. In Ohio, it used to be against the law for a student to date a ski instructor. But as wise men say, only ski instructors rush in. Next up, Frank Walmer bags 2 beanheads in a doubleheader. While on duty in Baltimore, Frank Walmer spotted a man carrying a television.
Yeah, you. Could I ask you a few questions? Just put the TV on the hood.
Right here?
Yeah, right there's good. Is this your TV, sir?
Oh, yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir, I was letting a friend watch it.
Friend, huh?
Yes, and I was just taking it home.
Okay, yeah. Well, do you have some ID, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He wanted to watch the 50th anniversary of the Hee Haw reunion show.
Yeah, that's great.
The officer, my second
let me
guest.
call this in, sir. Just
Officer Walmer ran the serial number and checked for burglaries involving that brand of TV. Finding nothing, he let the man go.
All right, sir. Here's your ID back, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
A few hours later, the officer was dispatched to the scene of a residential burglary. And sure enough, one of the items stolen was the television he had just seen, but nothing prepared the officer for what he saw next.
Hey, appreciate you coming by. You're the officer I called about theft here.
You had a break-in?
I don't, my baby was in fixing me a nanner sandwich, and I had, excuse me just a minute. Just make sure that you can see my eyes and all. Thank you, baby. And I'll be just a minute. And I'll come in, sound like somebody in the gym in my screen door, and I'll come in.
Yes, sir. The items were taken?
Appreciate that. You got my name down there?
Yes, sir.
E. Presley.
Yes,
Thank you very much. And come in and somebody, give me just a minute. Somebody take my field coat.
What is it?
And,
What's
well,
it?
that's some alfalfa that my cousin. And
What?
they had.
What's that?
Well, that's some potpourri that my wife keeps in the house. Makes it, you can all keep back. Keeps it smelling nice. I didn't think anybody. I come in and my field coat was gone. It was a 50s we said I bought it. They didn't take my headphones, didn't take nothing else, but you don't want Sanders today. I mean, it was, they didn't take.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
What's that?
baby, I told you about keeping these carburetors out here in the houses from old Chevy. And,
Mr. Presley, I think you need to come with us, sir, downtown.
excuse me,
I think it's time for you to leave the building.
hang on a minute. Baby, they want me to come downtown for just a minute. Sign an autograph, something I reckon. I don't know. Give me another sandwich.
Officer Walmer arrested the impersonator and later grabbed the burglar. It was truly a doubleheader.
That's all the time we have on America's Dumbest Criminals. Tune in next week. Don't impersonate the king. And remember what Black Elvis says.
Don't be dumb. Don't break the law.